This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, what you got here that's worth living for?
True love, you heard him? You could not ask for a more noble cause than that.
Sonny, true love is the greatest thing in the world. Except for nice MLT, mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich when the mutton is nice and lean and the tomatoes are ripe. They're so perky. I love that.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Today, we're doing our annual check-in on the cost of a sandwich with one of the direct descendants of the Earl of Sandwich. It's Jimmy John. Forget it. All we could come up with was Len Penzo. In our headlines, with housing prices slowing, what does that mean for your financial plan? Maybe more than you think. Plus, we'll answer a question from one stacker who thought, I'd better call Saul. C-High and OG. And then I'll share some weenie trivia. And now, 2 guys who go together like peanut butter and pickles. It's Joe and O-G.
Hey, don't knock it till you tried it, Doug. Have you tried that?
The weenie? I mean, the pickles and peanut butter? Have not. No.
Peanut butter's a banana. People do that.
Well, of course.
Yeah, peanut butter banana. I did that as a kid.
Yeah.
I think when you're 8 years old, that's like getting crazy with your food groups. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. As you can hear, either we're hungry or we got a big special guest today. Len Penzo back for his annual look at inflation in the most hilariously amazing way possible. We're looking at the cost of a lunch. And here's a guy who packs his lunch every day. Well, it doesn't really, if you count drive-through as packing lunch. Mr. OG's here. How are you, man?
Has someone pack his lunch crunchy or creamy?
Crunchy.
Crunchy all the way.
Yeah. Only psychos like creamy.
Joe likes creamy.
I can
I can see he's just going, oh, man.
It's like, wait, what?
That both said crunchy.
How do I recover from this?
Gotta take the other side, and the podcast is over. That's so tough. Yeah.
I've added whole peanuts to my peanut butter before. That's how crunchy I like it.
Whoa.
There was a friend of mine in college that with the Kraft macaroni and cheese, it wasn't cheesy enough. So he would take slices, the singles, and he would add a bunch of singles to it. So it was super, super.
Oh, that sounds so gross.
Was he trying to make it nutritious by adding the singles?
Melted cheese product on top of powdered
Polymers?
cheese?
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. It's a fantastic way to go. Well, we've got a great show today. We also have a very interesting headline about real estate, OG. So we're going to help our stackers figure out their financial plan and how do you value the real estate in your plan, plus a great call from a stacker. So time for us to get started. But before we do that, while you go get a sheet of paper so that you can take notes on all the goodness that Len Penzo is going to bring and OG is going to bring during our headline, we're going to play today's sponsor that helps keep this show free for you. Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/DellPCs. Built for you. Len Penzo waiting upstairs, probably trading recipes with mom for different sandwiches. So while he's doing that, let's get you a headline.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Our headline comes to us from Investment News today. That's an industry rag online for financial advisors. The piece is written by a guy named Greg Greenberg. OG, this piece is interesting. The reason I like going to Investment News sometimes on the show is we will have one set of discussions, but money geeks, people that love money chat, but often CFPs are having different discussions. And here is one that it appears financial advisors are having. Greg writes, they say home is where the heart is, but it's also where the wealth is, since a home's equity is often the largest asset for U.S. households. U.S. single-family home prices stayed unchanged in May, and the annual increase was the least in nearly a year due to higher mortgage rates and increased supply. According to a report a week ago from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage reached a 6-month high of 7.22% back in early May. They go into this idea, OG, that if you own a house, a lot of people, to Greg's point, go, hey, I got this equity sitting in my house. And now financial planners are going, the equity in the house isn't accelerating the way that it has the last decade. And predictions are that it might not. So if the value of the equity in your house doesn't go up, how does that change your net worth statement? How does that then change your retirement plan if this equity is not doing what it has historically? OG, when an asset class changes, what do you do when you're helping a client with their financial plan?
Well, I don't think when it comes to residential real estate that I don't know too many people that really count on the equity for living expenses or income in retirement. And I think we got to delineate between real estate as an investment or, public commercial real estate investment trusts, real estate investing. It's completely different than single family home ownership and what you should expect for that. I think historically, we would like to see basically inflationary returns on real estate, single family, your primary residence. In the last maybe 10 years, it's been somewhat higher than that. But just like the stock market, if there's some volatility on the upside, if you have some higher than expected returns over a period of time, I think it's safe to assume that there's some lower periods of return to even that out over the next period of time, perhaps.
Roshan Weeramantry, partner at Helium Advisors, works in California. And she says, you look at some of these prices in California, OG, for houses. Even if somebody has accumulated some wealth, their house still could be valued at a couple $1 million. Mm-hmm. Could be the biggest asset that they have. So Weeramantry says many of our clients, the largest asset they have is their home. So to help them, they think through different retirement possibilities in the frame of what ifs. They will model out these what if scenarios to show them the impact of downsizing to a smaller house and potentially using the difference to supplement retirement income. Do you see people doing those what ifs quite a bit if they're struggling with maybe not having been able to save enough?
Well, there's a number of different programs that exist for people that have lots of equity in their house, but not other things, primarily reverse mortgages, which for a long time had some pretty negative connotations.
Yeah, some ugly players in that field.
But it's coming around, and I think we'll see some more right sizing of that sector of the market, so to speak, in terms of cost structure and whatnot. I think my experience has been in people who do the proverbial downsize, they don't actually downsize they may downsize size, right? They go from the 3,000 square foot colonial with 4 bedrooms to the 2-bedroom townhome. But that 2-bedroom townhome is on the ocean in Sarasota.
The cost per square foot might change.
but it is a very big driver. I think one of the mistakes people make in their financial plans as it relates to housing is they assume that the housing costs will go away. So you have this line item in your budget right now. Let's say you're in your 40s and you're working and you've got your house and you've got a house payment and mortgage and taxes and the thing, right? Whatever that number is, you're spending $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month or whatever your all-in house cost is. And people say, well, when this gets paid off in 20 years, that'll go to zero. And the reality is, and we're seeing this in some higher cost of living areas where when that mortgage payment falls off, your property taxes and your insurance payment has increased to the point now where it's the same payment that you were paying.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense? Like when you got the mortgage, you were paying $4,000 a month, and maybe it's ticked up over the years because of higher taxes and insurance costs. But then you go, oh, I got rid of my mortgage payment. That's $2,000 a month. It's like, well, but now your taxes and insurance are still $4,000 a month. And so it's almost like a one-for-one replacement. And of course, taxes rise with inflation, and we all know what's going on in the property casualty market right now, depending on, different areas where you're living. There's some places that are reporting very large 30, 40, 50% year over year increases there.
Companies that haven't done that yet, OG, warning people it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think from a planning standpoint to say, oh, well, my housing costs are going to go away when I retire, or they're going to go away when I pay off my mortgage. I think you're doing yourself a disservice to think of that. But by the same token, when you look at your net worth statement and you go, oh, I've got, $1 million house with a $200,000 mortgage balance, I've got $800K in equity. It's like, well, how are you using that? You can't turn that $800,000 into cash, into investments, unless you do a reverse mortgage or unless you take another loan. And even if you do downsize, you're not going to free up all 800K of that. You know what I mean? Like there's some sort of offset that you're going to have to spend even in the lower cost areas. So, I think it's important to do some different planning scenarios where you've gone through and done some of those different calculations. But I rarely, if ever, use the equity in a house for income needs in retirement.
I love that idea. Just take it off the table. Your house is your castle, but if you think it's an asset that's going to help you retire, try to get rid of it, because to your point, it'll probably get rid of itself.
I mean, there are some circumstances where people have done it for sure. In that example of that 800K, it's like that pays for a lot of rent.
Yeah.
If you go, I'm just going to downsize and I'll just go rent a condo and I can spend $2,500 a month out of 800K for a really long time.
Well, I think you got to be incredibly intentional. Like maybe move from a high cost living area to a lower cost living area. You might have to move partway across the country. I mean, but you've got to be incredible. And I do know some people that did that. What was interesting with this particular couple is I really got the feeling, and we didn't have a long discussion about this, but their quality of life value was not what they hoped it would be. Like it was truly an economic decision. We're going to move to a lower cost living area. I'm going to sell this really expensive, beautiful house I had. We're going to go to a pretty place on a much smaller lot, much smaller footprint of a house, but it's still going to be nice. But they just didn't seem as happy afterwards. I don't know if that's everybody. That's a unit of one. But I love the idea of taking it off the table. Let's talk about buying homes just in general, OG, buying that primary residence. We talked about on Monday, the average person changes jobs every 4 years, just over 4 years, which is crazy. How long should somebody expect to live in a house to make it actually makes fiscal sense? And I realize that your primary house, we're taking that out of the financial plan, but it certainly will. If I spend a lot of money, it's going to affect the other parts of the financial plan. Sure. So how long should I expect to live there if I'm truly going to buy a house to make it worth all of the costs associated with buying the property?
I'm not sure that I can really answer that question. I know that the real estate folks, the real estate professionals, realtors have some data on this that are in our community. Certainly, like the average person moves this number of times. We were just talking about how Doug's looking at selling a house. Can I say that? Can I say that you're selling a property for the first time in 30 years? And Joe's sold 30 properties in 30 years. So everybody's a little different. In our personal story, we bought a house in Metro Detroit, new subdivision, fast growing community. And we literally bought, I think, as the roller coaster was hitting You know, that spot when you're at Cedar Point right before you go, ah,
on the road. Yeah.
we were that guy. And then
At the top of the Millennium Force Hill.
You know, we were like, tick, 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 tick.
Oh, let's buy now.
So we bought a house in 2004, sold it in 2014 for the same price. And so we lost our faces on that. And then 18 months later, we bought a house in Dallas for slightly more than we bought our house for in Novi in Michigan. And it's gone up 300%. So that's cool. If I was going to sell it, or if I could afford to move to another place. To your point, it's like a lateral move doesn't save anything in the
But still, I don't think
the balance sheet.
I think if I'm going into a job and I think it's going to be 4 years that I'm going to stay there, I'm not buying a house. I don't think 4 years is a long enough time frame to make up for all of the.
Well, certainly not in terms of costs and that sort of thing. You can look at like just the refinance costs. If you look at how often should you refinance a mortgage, that's kind of fallen by the wayside now with interest rates having done what they did in the last 5 years. But that was a more common occurrence 10 years ago. But I think it also depends on what kind of community you're in. You can change jobs 500 times if you live in a big city like New York, or if you live in a big city like Dallas or Detroit or something.
You're saying if you don't mind the commute.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you can live roughly in the same community, right? Without having to stress it too much. If you're moving across country every so often, that becomes a little more challenging.
What about home improvements? I mean, people looking at, hey, it's about time to remodel the kitchen. I mean, we've seen inflation pretty high for the last year. Len coming on, I bet the sandwich prices are going to reflect that. Just a prediction. Mm-hmm. I haven't talked to him yet. We'll see. But what do I do if I'm thinking about my budget to improve my home?
Personally, I think that everything you do associated with living in your home has to be for your own personal edification or lifestyle improvement. I don't know that there's anything that's going to, quote, retain its value in terms of a cost to equity relationship in the future. There's some projects, certainly kitchens and bathrooms and, so on and so forth, that have a higher residual value. You spend $50,000 on redoing a kitchen and maybe that makes your house value $30,000 more. Unless you're an investor, a real estate investor, where you're buying a really worn down property and you're, bringing it up to current specs, that's a whole different thing, right? That's an investment perspective. If you're looking at making a change in your primary residence, it has to be from the perspective of, do I want to do this? Wouldn't this make my life better here? Again, back to our personal example, when we bought our house in Michigan, we didn't opt for, the only thing we didn't add on was the pre-built deck on our house. We were on kind of a sloped lot a little bit. And so the kitchen sliding glass door, kind of proverbial rote Pulte style build of that's where the deck went, if you guys can picture that. But it was just high enough off the ground that you couldn't not do that. And they're like, well, we'll just add, we'll just do it. It'll be like another 10 grand. Like 10,000, you're crazy. I can do this myself. Well, 10 years later, after having never built a deck on the house, I was like, I don't want to do projects like this anymore because I'm never going to talk myself into it because of the inflationary cost. Because this year it's 7,000, next year it's 8, the year after that's 9. It's like every year it gets more expensive. So I wanted a house that was already done, and we've done some things in our home now, most notably building our pool in the backyard. But that was 100% like personal utilization. Yeah, it helps with the equity value, but it's nowhere near what the cost was associated with it.
Well, and if I'm taking the house off the table, which is what you said earlier, and it's not part of my financial plan, I mean, really then, OG, I got to think that's
a full expense.
Yeah. Then the big thing is the money I'm using for it. What does it do to my other goals? And if it doesn't affect my other goals, or this is goal number one, well, then fine, spend the money. But if it hurts goal number one, then you probably shouldn't put the pool in or remodel the kitchen or whatever the thing is.
Or recognize, back to what the person was saying about what ifing, put a different what if in there and say, well, how much does this cost in terms of future financial independence?
Yeah.
If I do the pool, I was on track to be financially independent at 55, but now I'm going to be 58. It's going to cost, am I okay with that trade? Which some people, might be, and some people might not be.
It's an interesting discussion. I love this is a few financial planners going back and forth, talking about the house. We'll link to it in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com if you'd like to dive in more. Of course, Kevin Bailey from our team is going to dive in even more in the 201 newsletter tomorrow. So if you're looking at different home improvement ideas or selling your house and how does that affect my financial plan, we will dive deeper in the 201 as we always do, stackingbenjamins.com/201. Well, I'm super excited for this next gentleman. If you don't know who Len Penzo is, you are in for a treat. Len won a Plutus Award for the best personal finance blog. Also, CBS Money Watch called his blog the #1 personal finance blog in America. He every year looks at the price of sandwiches here at back to school, back to work time, and sees how inflation may have hit your pocketbook either more or less than you think that it has. But before that, we might have some meat-related trivia, Doug. Say it ain't so.
Just what you've been waiting for, meat.
The meats.
We have the trivia. Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. On Christmas Eve, 1926. You didn't think I was going there, did you?
No.
Wheaties played the first ever commercial jingle on the radio. Seemingly overnight, the simple song catapulted the cereal into the #1 spot, proving that the most effective way into people's hearts is to find a way to get them to sing your name in the shower. Not to brag, but I've been told that my name's been sung in many a shower. And I don't even have it. Yeah, I don't even have a jingle. Since I don't need any help advertising my talents, I decided to write a little ditty for Stacking Benjamins. And since it's debuting here on our annual Sandwich Day, I was inspired to make it a play on the bologna song. It goes a little something like this. My podcast has a first name. It's STACK ing. My podcast has a second name. It's BENJA. Something about that doesn't quite sound right. I'm probably singing the wrong notes. Today's trivia question is, in 2023, Oscar Mayer briefly renamed his wiener, Mobile, as a part of a promotion. What was the new name? It probably wasn't Little Oscar. I'll be back right after I double check the spelling of Benjamin.
In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Hey there, stackers. I'm Texarkana's most memorable guy and soon-to-be Grammy Award-winning jingle writer, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Each year, 12 college seniors are chosen by Oscar Mayer to be brand ambassadors for a year. Known as hot doggers, these lucky dozen are given the keys to the famous Wienermobile. You know, I applied to drive the Wiener when I was graduating from Southwest Bahama State Technical Institute and Beauty School. They didn't pick me, but probably because I was too busy with the ladies. It just proves that sometimes being handsome comes at a price. I haven't learned that lesson over and over. Today's trivia question is, what was Oscar Mayer's Wienermobile briefly named last year? The answer, for the first time in the company's 140-year history, Oscar Mayer changed the recipe for their famous 100% beef franks. To help spread the word, they briefly changed the name of their famous vehicle to the Frankmobile. Lame. And now, back to Joe and OG. Did you get it, OG? Did you guess Frankmobile, or did you say like the Steve Mobile?
I didn't pay attention.
I didn't listen?
Sure you did. He was all. Did you see him dancing to your jingle?
I was focusing on the song. I was trying to make sure you spelled it right.
Yeah.
The Frankmobile does sound pretty stupid.
That's a long word for Doug. Did you see they had a Wienermobile accident like just last week? And I'm not kidding.
No, I know. Yeah. It didn't fit in the tunnel?
No, this was just down the side of the highway. It was quite difficult.
The engine had performance issues?
I also saw, when you saw did you see, by the way, there was a meme that had like a line of all those cars together. And when you see them all together, it's pretty well.
All wieners lined up next to each other?
There must be like 10 of them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was a real sausage fest.
Well, let's transition.
I got 100 of them.
Doug's like, don't threaten me with a good time.
From this. I'm going to let you guys go, and let's invite Len Penzo down to the basement. Super happy to see this guy walking down the steps to the card table. Have a seat, man. Len Penzo in the house. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Joe?
Well, why do I see you now when I get hungry? Like, especially when I know this segment's coming, I'm like, I am starving for a sandwich. And I just ate, Len.
Well, let me tell you something. Just coincidentally, this weekend I was at Subway. And I went in and I ordered the sandwich and some chips. I got to the counter, and the girl behind the counter, real pretty girl, she looks at me, she goes, "Do you want to go for a drink?" And I was like, well, first off, it's a very pretty girl, probably late 20s. And I said, I'm very flattered, but, I've been married 28 years. I'm very happily married to my wife. And so thank you, but no. And she looked at me and she said, I was talking about the meal deal. So.
You're like, no, the chips are enough. But thank you.
Yes.
Like I said, thank you.
Just coincidentally, I thought I'd share that with you.
All right. Last year, bologna was our top sandwich. It was number one, peanut butter and jelly and bologna going to blows. So we're going to save this till the end, but does bologna defend its title this year, or is it peanut butter and jelly? But let's start off because we got a bunch of new stackers, Len, that don't know about the fact that you do this every year. Tell me where this started. How did you get the sandwich survey going?
Yeah, this started way back now. It's hard to believe. 2009, I did my first sandwich survey. I did this because
you were homeless, because you'd lost your house during the
Yes, way back when I was I had my kids in school. They were young at the time, and just out of curiosity, I just started my finance blog, and it just dawned. I was like, well, when they went to school, they could buy a lunch, and I forget what it was at the time. I think it was $1.50, for a lunch. And I was thinking at the time, I was like, that seems kind of high for a lunch. I was like, well, how much would it be if you pack a brown bag lunch? So I decided I would do a survey, and I wouldn't just do the traditional peanut butter and jelly. I said, well, what are 10 common sandwiches that people, and not just school kids, but workers, people who go to work, commute and take their lunch to work. Yeah. What are 10 different sandwiches that people commonly put into those bags? Let me take a survey of all the price ingredients, and then I will compare that to the price of the school lunch. So at least I'll know, I'm sure it was a school lunch more expensive than a brown bag lunch? And just, hey, by the way, if you're going to work, how much are you saving taking a brown bag rather than going to your local McDonald's or whatever for lunch?
Or Subway and getting a date.
Yeah. So I said, hey, and I was thinking, well, that's a genius idea, Len. Nobody else is doing this kind of thing. So, and I just started this blog. This would be great. And little did I know, and frankly, to no one's surprise, it turned out that making your own lunch was way cheaper than going to a restaurant or even buying a school lunch. But it's just over the years now, it's been 16 years. And over time, this has really become interesting. This is 16 surveys now. And you really get to see the price fluctuations over time, how that compares, it's fascinating. And I thought this year's results were extremely fascinating. It totally countered what I thought was going to happen this year.
Well, it's funny how you started off. I mean, when you started off, you were just trying to prove how much money you save by taking your lunch. And that's not what's, this has turned into the most fun way for me to look at inflation, Len.
Exactly. That's right. That's what I'm saying. Over years now, that's what this has turned into, really. It's kind of like an inflation tracker. You know, you've heard of the Big Mac index. Well, this is Len Penzo's sandwich survey index, which is actually a little more detailed than the Big Mac index because it takes into account about 20 different ingredients. And it's been the same ingredients. I've used the same methodology over time. And that methodology is I go to the same store. I've been shopping at the same store for all these years, this same grocery store. I buy whatever is cheapest. It has nothing to do with the brand. It has nothing to do with, it's just cheapest by unit cost. So the brand may change. It usually doesn't because usually it's the store brand that will be the cheapest, but sometimes not. They'll have sales on national brands and that'll actually become the cheapest item. But everything's been consistent for 16 years. So it's a fascinating look at inflation over the years. In addition to validating for yourself that, yes, you can save a lot of money by making your own lunches at home.
Well, here's the reason I like this versus the Big Mac. I'm gonna smack the Big Mac index for a second, Len, because I was just reading some interesting stuff about McDonald's, and not just that, about the fast food industry in general, that the price of fast food has continued to go up while the price at the grocery store maybe has moderated. We'll see if we see that in these results or not. But so the Big Mac index might not be what's happening with your family, where what's happening at the grocery store, I feel like, is much closer to what's happening for the average American household, unless you're like this one friend. I have this one friend that goes out for every meal. I think he's going to die by the time he hits like 52.
It's nuts.
It's
really nuts.
How could you go out for every meal?
I don't know. I'm sure, it's not healthy either. I don't think that's very healthy of you to do that.
No, that's what I was talking about. Like the amount of sodium that's got to be in his diet has got to be off the charts.
Oh, yeah. When you go to a grocery store and you put a brown bag lunch, and I mean, even today, you want to pop a banana in there with your peanut butter and jelly, and maybe those little mini bags of chips, and it's still so much cheaper than going out and buying something at a restaurant, and it's healthier too.
What is the difference this year? Because I know you track that every year, the average cost of a brown bag lunch or a sandwich versus doing something else.
The average price of a sandwich this year, what I do is I take the 10 sandwiches and I divide it by the number of sandwiches, which is 10. This year, it came in at $1.39.
Okay.
Last year, it was $1.56.
Wow.
So, yeah. So the prices of the average sandwich this year dropped for the first time in 4 years. It dropped 11% this year. It might not feel that way. And it probably doesn't because since 2021, the price of those sandwiches is still 24% higher in 2021. So you still feel the pain, even though it's 11% lower than last year. Last year, the average sandwich at $1.56 was 47% higher than the price in 2018. So what it is, you have the sticky effects of inflation. So inflation goes up relatively quicker than it comes down. And your wages, I'm sure, for most people haven't gone up 24% in the last 3 years. Maybe you're lucky and it did, but I don't think most people's wages have gone up 24%. And that's why people still feel kind of miserable when they go to the grocery store. But rest assured, prices have come down from the last year.
Well, and that's why we always talk about the fact that the average person does want to rock the boat at work, and yet you need a raise to keep up. You have to get a raise to keep up. So you've got to be persistent. You have to understand what the boss is looking for. You have to know how to ask for the raise. It can't be, hey, my peanut butter jelly sandwich price is up a ton, so I need more cash. Although the boss is going to understand that, but I think you got to be a little more creative when you ask for the raise.
Absolutely. And, I've mentioned this before. One of the best ways to do that for those of you at working still, I'm retired now, but in the corporate world, here's what I always did, and it was always successful. All year long, I kept track of what I did that provided value to the company and why they should for the year. And at raise time, I went into the boss and I showed them that list of bullet points, and it was really hard for them to deny me a decent raise because I laid it out on paper all year long. It's hard when job review comes up, performance review, and you have a couple of days to think about, well, why, what can I tell my boss? Why am I worth a big raise? If you do it all year long with all your achievements, keep marking them down, you'll have that when the time comes for your performance review. So you should get a better raise, hopefully.
Oh, that's great advice. Did you give them an exact number you wanted, by the way? Did you say, here's what I'm looking for? Or did you let them
No.
come to you?
I didn't, but I did let them know if I wasn't happy with what I got. So I'd be nice about it, but I was like, gosh, that's a little less than I was expecting. But
Did they change it? Did they ever change it?
No.
Okay.
but just to be fair, I almost always got a very good raise. So I was very fortunate.
But they might have taken that into account the next year too.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. The 10 sandwiches we have here: peanut butter and jelly, bologna, American cheese, egg salad, ham and Swiss, turkey and Swiss, salami, tuna salad, roast beef and cheddar, and the BLT, the king
my
of
favorite
sandwiches. Yummy. Let's start off with the condiments, and then we'll talk about the actual sandwiches. There's a few condiments on here that actually went up in price, Len. Tell me where the prices went up.
Okay. The prices that went up, the biggest mover this year was the humble tomato. The price of a tomato was up 50%. And the tomato, just to be fair, it is things such as tomatoes that are kind of dependent sometimes on the weather is not conducive to a good crop or not. That's going to happen. But the price of tomatoes went up 50%. Same thing with eggs. Well, eggs will also fluctuate due to various problems with the chickens and all that. But tomato went up 50%. The price of bologna went up 25%. Dry salami went up 25%. Strawberry jelly, which is my favorite. I always get grief every year from people saying, who puts strawberry jelly on I like grape. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm consistent. Strawberry jelly went up 20% this year. And mayo, the condiment mayo went up 21% this year. So, and cheddar cheese also went up 12% this year.
You had a note about the price of bread really changed this year as well.
Yeah, bread. Now, last year, bread was at its all-time high. It was never high. The price was never higher. Last year, it was $1.99 for a loaf of wheat bread. This year, that price came down to $1.49, so it was a 25% drop. That's still a little high historically. Sometimes it's been as low as $1.09 or 99 cents. But 25%, I mean, it came down 50 cents. So That was a significant drop this year. And of course, being sandwiches, every sandwich has 2 slices of bread. So I think that goes a long ways towards affecting the overall price of all the sandwiches.
Yeah, Kevin, who writes our wonderful 201 newsletter, and I were talking about the fact you and I were going to be talking today. And we were talking about ideas for the 201. We were talking about how when you said 2 slices of bread, I said specifically to Kevin, we got to put in here that open face is bullshit. That's not a sandwich. A sandwich is defined by 2 pieces of bread. You can open face is an abomination.
Minimum. And then don't forget the club, which I didn't include a club sandwich. It has 3 slices of 3.
Yes. It isn't really true that club is cheddar lettuce under bacon. That's not what club really means.
Oh, CLUB.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think. Oh, I have no idea.
Cheddar lettuce under bacon.
Oh, very cool. I
don't think that's true. I think somebody thought that was cute and made it up, but anyway.
I don't think you're right.
If only there were a place, Len, I could look up this nonsense. If there were a device by which, but I'm too busy watching cat videos and talking about the price of maize.
Hey, your cats and my squirrels.
That's right.
My squirrel videos.
Speaking of the condiments, though, you talked about the price of bread going down. Some of these condiments also went down by eye-popping numbers. Let's talk condiments.
Okay, well, I think the only 2 well, I don't know, where do you consider condiment? Mustard didn't move. The price of mustard stayed stable, the exact same price as last year. Like I said, mayo went up 21%. I don't think I have any other condiments. Do you consider peanut butter or jelly a condiment, Joe?
I did, yes. Am I wrong?
Okay. Peanut butter didn't move. The price of jelly, as I said, strawberry jam, went up 20%. Which is interesting because for you PB&J fans out there, usually it's a perennial battle between PB&J and bologna for the top spot. And just to be fair, bologna has won the great majority. It's either won the prize for cheapest sandwich or it was tied for the title of cheapest sandwich. So there's a little bit of stress there for PB&J lovers with knowing that the price of jelly went up 20%.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Do you know how people say that's baloney? You're like, that's baloney. That's a heap of baloney. Do you know where that, I found out just a couple of weeks ago, Len, where that phrase came from. Do you know where that comes from?
No, do tell, Joe.
Yes. Well, bologna, as you know, is a processed amalgamation of different meats. And back in the day, and it might be still today, they stuff a bunch of stuff in there that may or may not be meat. And so instead of calling someone an out and out liar, someone came up with the cute phrase of saying that's baloney, which means it's processed, it's garbage. It's just full of a bunch of stuff that may or may not be what you're trying to present, which is very straightforward.
And I don't care. I love bologna. The price of bologna is usually a recession indicator. Although the price per pound is huge, it actually ironically works it's more of it is consumed in recessions. So there's my little fun fact. You've got the CLUB thing, and I've got
well, yours is real and based on data. Mine is something I heard on a TikTok video.
Yes.
So who knows? I think we'll go with your data, Mr. Engineer. Right. All right. Let's take these in order, countdown wise. Last year, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I mean, that cost per sandwich is so much different than every other one. I'm assuming that must have been number 10 again this year.
I think it has always been number 10. Let me do a quick check here. I don't think it has ever worked its way out of the bottom slot. I put it in there because it is probably my all-time favorite sandwich. And
you can't eat just one.
No, you can't. I'm looking here. It has never, in 16 years, never been outside the number 10 slot. So yes, it's the perennial number 10. Sometimes it's come close to climbing out of that basement, but this year it's still at the bottom. The price did come down this year. It was $5, an all-time high last year. This year it's $4.04.
So there is good news for people that like a BLT.
Oh, and I bring this up every time. The price of a BLT is $4.04 this year. The price of a Big Mac, if you just go and pick up a Big Mac, is this year in 2024, as of June, according to CNN, is $5.29.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. It's still better. It's still far cheaper. You could eat a BLT every day as opposed to a Big Mac and save $1.25 every day,
and be a little healthier too.
And you'd be a little healthier.
Number 9 last year was tuna salad, and tuna cost. Every year you and I talk, tuna cost, I think, got to fluctuate more than anything else on the survey, I would think.
Yeah, that's another one. That's up there with the tomatoes. It's up there with the lettuce, the tomato, and the eggs. It's dependent on how the catch is doing out in the oceans and, how the tuna schools are, and so it fluctuates too. The price of tuna actually, a couple years ago, it doubled. It went up 97% in 1 year.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so the last 2 years, the price of tuna has dropped. Not enough to overcome the 97% increase over the past 2 years, but it has dropped significantly. Even though there's other ingredients in the tuna the tuna salad sandwich that caused the price, namely the price of mayo, that caused the price to rise 8% this year. So tuna salad came in 8th place this year. Last year it was 9. It moved up a spot.
Yeah, which is wild. So what took its place in 9th?
That was roast beef and cheddar. That actually went to $2.02. It's a weird quirk of how things worked out, but the price of roast beef and cheddar dropped 15%, but it really wasn't enough to overcome the tuna salad. So even though the price of roast beef and cheddar dropped 15%, it's still more expensive than the tuna salad. And folks, you'll have to come to my website to look into all the dirty details to see exactly why that happened.
Yeah, you're going to want to head to lenpenzo.com because we are clearly hitting the highlights.
Yeah.
Len goes into a little bit of detail, a slight bit of detail.
Yeah.
Big mover, by the way. You talked about salami. Salami was number 3 last year. Salami's changed a ton.
Yeah, salami I'll call it reverting to the mean. Now, for a long time, salami was it was in the middle of the pack. And then last year, there was a huge drop in the price of salami. Don't ask me why. Maybe it was just because my store had a super sale on it. I don't know. But this year, it kind of reverted to the mean, and it fell from 3rd place down to 7th place this year. Even though the price change of that sandwich dropped 4%. Again, we've got a 4% price drop, but there were other sandwiches that dropped in price even more that pushed salami down to the 7th spot.
Yeah, salami lovers last year rejoiced. There were salami parties in the street. No.
And I just want to be clear. I take the price of what I call the dry salami. That's the high quality salami. That's not you can find the cheap salami. It's almost like bologna that's spiced a little differently. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the true deli salami that's hanging on a rack. The butcher will pull it off and slice it up. Now, this is in package form, but it's still that type of salami. It's the hard, dry salami.
Where is salami and Cabernet on here? I don't see it.
Maybe you should start a wine survey.
I should. I totally should. And that's how Joe became an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Number 6 here did not move. One of my favorite sandwiches.
Yeah. Besides BLT, it's the only other one that didn't change positions this year, turkey and Swiss. The price, though, dropped 23%.
Wow.
By now. Yeah. And let's see, what was the cause of that? Price of Swiss did not budge. So, maybe that's why. Yeah, because the price of Swiss went up so much last year. So,
yeah.
Swiss, as a matter of fact, for like 4 years in a row, Swiss cheese had been going up pretty steadily. And this year, it finally started dropping again. Well, it held steady. So, the price of Swiss did not move, and that allowed the turkey and Swiss price to actually overtake some of the ones that fell below it.
Yeah, and the price of bread.
And the price of bread, too. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think the price of Swiss went up so much so many years in a row?
I survey American, Swiss, and cheddar, and it's like they never move in lockstep. They're always go to the beat of their own drummer. This year, American was down 20%. Swiss, the price of Swiss didn't budge, but cheddar cheese this year is the one that went up. It went up 12% this year.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that something?
I think we should make an argument that Swiss cheese is cheaper than the other cheeses, Len, because you're buying a lot of air. I mean, there's less cheese per serving than there is cheddar cheese.
Wouldn't that make it more expensive because you're getting less cheese for the price? I don't know. Yes.
It is more expensive. That's what I'm saying. We should pay less. I'm like, have you seen all the holes in this argument? Speaking of Swiss cheese, ham and Swiss.
By the way, do you know do you know what their favorite cheese is? Guitar players? String cheese.
Oh, man.
I'm here all week, folks.
I'm going to lose my job, by the way, doing this. Because I love all these sandwiches and I just see myself gaining so much weight. Because, I just got a job, Len, as a fitness model.
You did?
I did. Yeah, I'm the before.
That makes 2 of us.
We're here all week. Wait. Is this thing on?
Be sure to order the BLT too.
A big mover up, ham and Swiss comes in at number 5. But last year it was higher up the charts, Len.
Yeah, it was number 7. This year it came in at number 5. That's sold almost entirely due to the price of ham, which fell 41% this year. Big mover. Yeah, so you ham lovers, this is your chance to take advantage of the ham and Swiss. Yeah, 91 cents, by the way, for the ham and Swiss sandwich this year. 91 cents.
At number 4, are you a fan of egg salad?
I love egg salad as long as you don't put mustard in it. I know some people put mustard in it. I don't like mustard.
We call them heathens, Len. Heathens.
I like the unadulterated mayo in there, and you leave it alone. And yes, I love egg salad. Traditionally, one of the cheapest sandwiches. It usually comes in very inexpensively, usually within the top 4. Last year, it fell to number 5. And let me say something about eggs. I also get a lot of comments on my survey. The price of eggs last year were high, and people are like, the price of eggs wasn't high where I lived. Eggs are very regional, the price of eggs. So that's the one thing in my survey that could differ quite a bit from where you live. It's just eggs tend to be a regional pricing. So it's based on your local farms. And they had some problems with the chickens out here in Southern California last year, which caused the price of eggs to go way up. This year, the price of eggs here dropped 14%, and that helped the price of the egg salad sandwich. Cost per sandwich, 88 cents this year.
Wait, so they had all those issues in Hollywood last year, and they had issues with chickens. The chickens go on strike too?
No, I think, what was it last year? I think it was something called, I know that was supposed to be a joke.
Yeah,
I think it was something called Newcastle, some disease or something that decimated the egg-laying population.
That's not good. Number 3 is my favorite sandwich on this list. It was number 4 last year. The reason it's my favorite is because we had a comment in one of the early years that you and I did this recording for your amazing study together. And this woman said that this sandwich was borderline child abuse.
You know what? Was she referring to the ones they give at the school, the American cheese sandwich?
Yes.
Yes, that is child abuse. But I'm talking about some nice, decent American cheese. And it doesn't have to be a cold American cheese. That includes grilled cheese. You can grill it up, folks.
Oh, really?
Right? Well, why not?
No, that's what I wanted to tell her.
Yeah, grill it. You elevate the sandwich. So yes, the American cheese, it's a very inexpensive sandwich. That being said, it's quite a bit more expensive than the top 2 on our list, which are the 2 cheapest sandwiches, but still 72 cents a sandwich. You can't beat it. The price of American cheese this year dropped 20%. So that moved American cheese up from the number 4 to the number 3 slot this year.
This is pretty amazing, Len, because I look at 72 cents for a grilled cheese sandwich and I go, like you just said, what a deal. I think what a flipping deal this is. Yet, when I was, and maybe this is an old guy story, but I never really thought about inflation. And I remember when I was a young financial planner and people were like, you don't think about inflation until it's already occurred. And then you realize your entire life, like it has just been seeping into everything. And all of a sudden you look up and you go, how did that get that price? Like, how is that? So if we would have told your parents, Len, when you were 8 years old, that you pay 72 cents for a grilled cheese sandwich, what would your parents have said? They'd be like, are you kidding me? That is highway robbery. Like you're getting ripped off.
Well, we're about the same age. You remember being able to buy a candy bar for 15 cents? Do you remember that?
Yeah, 15, 20, and 25.
Yeah, I used to be able to go, here, let's share some old guy stories. You know what?
Sit back for Grandpa Len and Grandpa Joe, everybody.
Yeah, I remember riding my bike to Thrifty's, which is a drugstore. I don't know if they're everywhere in America, but here in California, there's a Thrifty drugstore. I could get a triple scoop ice cream for 15 cents and a single scoop for a nickel. And now I don't know what an ice cream cone costs at those places.
I remember the most expensive place to buy a candy bar was at the bowling alley. And my brother and I would go to this kids bowling league every Saturday morning. My mom just wanted some time off, right? So she dropped us off at the bowling alley with a quarter, Len. She dropped us off with a quarter because they had a drinking fountain. And I could buy one candy bar at a quarter. It was highway robbery. It was so expensive for the candy bar. Yes.
Outrageous.
And they were playing music and they're playing these bands. And I don't know if you saw this, but you know, there are no bands anymore in the Billboard Hot 100. They're all individual artists. Like the concept of a band has kind of died from the Billboard charts.
Here's another thing that I've listened to my daughter's music choices. I'll be in her car. She's driving somewhere and I'm with her and I'm listening to her music. And there's almost zero female bands or female singers too. I'm like, she's listening to all these boy bands. Like, do women even ever sing anymore? She just didn't have any on her playlist. She says there's not a lot, but there are a few, that are, and she says they're starting to pick up again now. But
yeah,
but when I was young, half the bands were female.
Were women.
Or had a female lead singer at least.
Pat Benatar.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw her in concert a couple months ago. Yeah.
Just amazing.
She's still belting it. 70. She's like 70. Oh yeah. I'm really sorry, Joe. I'm really killing your demographic.
Stevie Nicks.
But these old, but they can belt it out still.
Still. Absolutely. It's good to see like the Swifties and Chappelle Roan now.
Sure.
Her stuff, just amazing. All right.
Yes.
Everybody's like, are you guys going to get back to sandwiches? Yes, we will someday. But just American cheese at 72 cents seems like such a bargain now. And then I go, when did that happen? Okay. Peanut butter and jelly and bologna. As you said, bologna's been on top of this thing over and over and over and over and over.
Yes. Of the 16 years, there's only maybe a couple where bologna was not on the top or sharing the top.
Is bologna on top this year?
Drum roll. Got the drum roll, Joe?
I just
fix it in post.
That's not the one we're looking for. I don't think.
Well, actually, that's it for bologna. That's the right sound because bologna came in second this year.
Wow.
PB&J actually overtook bologna again. A very rare event. It's only the third time ever. PB&J is sitting at the top at 46 cents a sandwich. And just for comparison, I'll go back to 2009 for the prices of those sandwiches. In 2009, a PB&J was 31 cents a sandwich. Now it is 46 cents a sandwich, which was at 15 cents. So it's gone up only 50% in 16 years. Not bad at all, really, if you think about that.
Wow. Yeah, I just look at both of these sandwiches you can buy for 50 cents. You can buy for less than 50 cents. And then you get the super bag of different chip choices,
Yep.
You can lower your cost of chips. I know how you feel about pre-cut vegetables. Len Penzo, not a fan because the cost of cutting, but you could still buy those pre-cut carrots, the big, huge bag of those pre-cut carrots. And you could have the carrots. You could have the chips. You can have your peanut butter and jelly.
Piece of fruit in there is super cheap. Yeah, you can still get out of there, Joe, for like $1.25 for your whole lunch.
That's incredible. And tap water.
And some nice water. Yeah, a nice glass of ice water. And you're saving a lot of money. Even for school lunches, right? If you're the average price of a school lunch this year, again, it's held steady now for 3 years. It's been $3.50. But if you have a couple kids, that adds up. That's $1,260 for an 180-day school year if you have 2 kids, if you give them a brown bag lunch every day versus sending them to school and letting them buy their lunch.
You've got a few great tips here. One is cooking your own ham and turkey and slicing it yourself. Great way to reduce your grocery bill.
Yes. Always better than buying the prepackaged stuff. You can buy the whole stuff, the canned stuff, the bigger stuff, or the bulk turkey. And the bulk turkey is delicious. You can buy a big chunk of it for like $12. I think it's about a pound of it, and actually it's more than a pound. It's probably closer to 2 pounds. And it's so much fresher tasting and delicious. Yeah, highly recommend that.
And then, because we've done this story before, having a garden isn't always economical. Tomatoes, with the high price of tomatoes we've had, Len, that could be a boon.
Yeah, I used to grow tomatoes all the time, but the squirrels, which is why I have my squirrel camera. And I know everybody, yes, I've heard of chicken wire. I've heard of it. Please, no more emails. I get it. They figure it out. They've stolen all my tomatoes. And what's really infuriating, they'll take one bite out of the tomato and then throw it on the grass, like to taunt me. And so I just finally gave up on growing my own tomatoes. But when you do grow them, and if the squirrels don't get it, they are so good, so much better than the stuff you get at the store.
Well, and I'll tell you what we do. We do Saturday morning date is no longer, we no longer go as often to the movie theater. We'll still go to the theater from time to time, Len, but we go to the farmer's market together. And I spend the little extra date money because we like just doing the farmer's market together. And I buy fresh. I overpay a little bit. They're a little more expensive, but oh my God, the taste difference at the farmer's market.
Oh yeah. Farmers markets are so fun. Oh, I love farmers market. There's so much fun and so much good food there. Good, healthy, wholesome food.
Yep. And it's so fun to do on date day. Even if it's just a date by yourself, it's a fantastic time. And then last, and you've preached this before with your other taste test, your ice cream, which you still haven't invited me for the ice cream taste test, but whatever. You can save upwards of 40% by buying one brand over the others.
Yeah. And I've been doing those taste tests since 2009 as well. I think I've done on probably 20 different items. And yeah, most of the time, not always, but almost always, these are blind taste tests. The store brand products they're right up there with the national brands. And many times they actually beat out the national brands and you save 40% generally. So that's the way to do it. Yep.
If only there was a place where we could dive into the whole thing, because we were only able to go through kind of the bones of it. I wish there was a place where this was all in writing, Len, where I could actually go and see all the results myself.
Well, Joe, thanks for bringing us lenpenzo.com, actually, folks. There is. You can, if you come on to my site, you can see all the dirty details. You can see all the individual prices for the ingredients. I also have posted the historic sandwich prices for everything from 2009 through 2024. So you can see for yourself just how the prices of sandwiches have moved over the years. And I've also got things like 5-year averages, all kinds of stuff you can dig in and just see for fun. It's just for fun. See how the prices of sandwiches have moved over the years. It's really great. 16 years now. It's a lot of data, and it's really cool. I never thought it would get this, be doing this 16 years, but it's so fun. I'll probably be doing this till the day I die.
Speaking of fun, by the way, make sure you always read Len's Black Coffee pieces, because those are always a great time.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Yeah, those are every Saturday. I do a summary of the financial news for the week, and I mix in a bunch of people's tweets on X, funny ones usually, and lots of memes, and it's just a fun way to hang out on a Saturday morning.
Dude, so great seeing you again, and we'll see you back here in a couple of months, brother.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Joe.
Hey, I'm Mr. Wow.
And I'm Mrs. Wow from Waffles on Wednesday.
And when we're not eating waffles,
we're stacking Benjamins.
Big thanks to Len. Always great seeing our good friend, Len Penzo. Hey, time for us to answer a question from a stacker who said, you know what? I better call Saul. C-High, and OG. And today we're going to talk to JJ. Hey, JJ, what's going on?
Hey, Joe and OG, and of course, Doug. This is JJ, a long-time listener and second-time caller. I suddenly came up with an epiphany on investing in specifically 401ks. So I was thinking about the stock and bond allocation in 401ks. But I think if someone is starting in his early 20s, in his or her early 20s, and have a long time to retire, let's say at 62, isn't it prudent to just keep on allocating all of their investment in stocks till maybe 50, and then from there onwards they can either start moving some of the stocks to bonds, which could be market timing. And you can ask me, like, what if the stock market is down at that time? Okay, if that is the case, then I would say keep it till stocks, completely stocks or equities till 50, and then onwards start contributing to bonds. That way, you're not even timing the market, and then balance it out towards closer to 60s. I think this is a good idea, but I know you will definitely shoot it down. But I would, before you guys steal it or someone else steals it, I'm going to patent this idea so that I get some royalty. By the way, you guys are awesome. Thank you, and have a great day.
Oh, no, you're awesome, JJ. And clearly you want to patent that idea. But you know what? We're not going to shoot it down.
Gonna blow it out of the water. Oh, annihilate it from all civilization.
JJ, all equities all the time is a concept that OG's fully on board with.
Yeah. Started out with such promise. Like, shouldn't we just be all stock
And
all
then
the
he
time?
said sell.
And then you went and sell your 50-50. All right. So here's the thing. This is where I think mainstream media promotes this nonsense, and I can't figure out the reason why. You get to the spot, right, where you have the most money in your life, probably your highest income and your highest savings rate and your highest amount of account balances, let's say when you're 50 or 52, relative to all other times, exclusive of market fluctuation, right? Like, obviously, you're like, well, the market's down 20%. Okay, cool. But it's about that. And then you want to do what? Go, nah, I'm good. I'll slow down the rate of this acceleration. Why would you want to do that? When you get to retirement, when you're 62, in JJ's example, you need to have money for 63. I get that completely. You need to have money when you're 64 and 65. But mostly, you need money that's for your 72nd birthday and 82nd birthday and 92nd birthday and probably 95th and 97th birthday. You need to have a little bit of cash that's available for year 62, but you need a bunch of money that's still sitting there growing for 67 and beyond. And I think people have this sense of end. They're like, oh, well, I'm almost at the end of my working life, therefore I need to be. I mean, unless you need all of the money when you're 55 and you're 50 years old, you should have all of your money still invested for long-term returns.
People must be not thinking about longevity. And they're correlated. I got to lock it in. I got to lock in all my earnings for when I retire, and not realizing you probably have 30 to 35 years left.
Well, I think there's two things. One is this fear of loss, like the whole idea of, okay, when I get to this age, I've attained a certain account balance. I'm 50 years old. I have $1 million. Oh my gosh, I can't afford to let this go down. I only have 10 more years to go, right? When in reality, the likelihood is over that 10-year period, that money's going to double at least once and some change if it's invested, probably closer to twice as you get closer to that 62, 65 age. And the decision to go conservative at 50 and forego those two doublings, let's say to 65, is a $3 million decision exclusive of your contribution. That's the difference between retiring and you've got $1.5 million and you're like, all right, I feel pretty good, and having $5.5 million and going, I don't care what happens. I am so in the clear. And the fire people have different names for this, and I don't know where it goes, but there's like fat and chubby and coast and all these different things because I see them on Reddit.
Agreed.
And I don't know the hierarchy. I don't know what's better to be fat or chubby. I'm not sure.
The rules.
I don't know. Jacked and tan should be in there somewhere, I feel. But I'm jacked and tan fire. How about you? I'm chubby. Like, nah.
Yeah, I think Doug's going for fatty and tan.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Pale chubby. Pale chubby.
Good, that looks in a Speedo when
Yeah.
you retired.
Pasty and yeah.
So I think that there's some issue with fear of loss. But if you reframe this and say, A, what's the opportunity cost? In that example, you're missing those two doubles. You're missing out on $3 million worth of potential growth. But not just that, but what is that money going to do over that 20 or 30 year period between 50 and 80? If it's going to just barely keep its lips above water as it relates to inflation, how are you going to be able to increase your income? Because that's the really big thing. You have to have investments that produce rising income opportunities throughout retirement. Just look back. We talk about looking back in the stock market to see, longer term trends. Download your Social Security statement. You can get it for free at ssa.gov. You should look at it every year anyway. If you're over 60, they send it to you. But if you're under 60, you have to go online and get it. And look at what your freaking earnings were 20 years ago. Like, just look at it. And now ask yourself, 20 years ago, was your life materially better or worse? Or is your life today markedly better or worse? The vast majority of people will look and go, yeah, I was happy in my 20s. I'm happy in my 40s. Maybe I have some new cool stuff. I got a new car or lake house or, whatever. I might have those things, but is life particularly better? Probably not. But what's changed? The price of eggs went from $1 to $5. The price of gas went from 78 cents to $3. The cost of electricity and all these things rise with regular inflation over periods of time. And unless we have massive changes, which we've had in the last year and a half, where people can noticeably see it, holy crap, my grocery bill went up $100 a week, then you can feel it. But when it's like postage stamp inflation, you just don't feel it in short time. You just go, 60 cents of 72 cents. Like, I don't know how much stamps are. I don't see the change in 3 cents, right? It doesn't feel that way. You can only see it when you look back 20 years and go, wait a second, stamps used to cost 30 cents and now it's 70. Milk used to be $1 and now it's 5. What makes you think that over the next 30 years, that's not going to happen again? And it's hard to predict that. It's hard to put that in your brain and go like, dude, milk's never going to be $15 a gallon. Gas will never be $10 a gallon. Well, guess what? I bet you 25 years ago, people were like, there's no chance milk is $5 a gallon.
After what we just talked to Len about, I think it's a little more believable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when we have periods of like huge increases in inflation, like it's on top of everybody's mind and you can kind of believe a little bit more. But when it's more historical and just kind of normal 3 to 4% a year, which is kind of the historical average, you don't feel that as much because it just doesn't hit you as hard in all the areas. It's when you have a big increase in short period of time, you feel it. My point is that your income has to continue to rise throughout retirement. And the only thing that has the opportunity to grow with inflation is the ownership of the things that actually produce the inflation. You have to own the company that's driving the inflation. I'm not saying that companies are in charge of that. I'm saying like you want to profit from that. Guess what? Coca-Cola is making money. They don't care what's going on. If they need to charge $1.10 for a Coke instead of $1.05, they're going to do it because shareholders want results. And if you have an opportunity to own fractions of these businesses that are keeping up with inflation, that their profits are rising with inflation, your income will rise with inflation, which is the only thing you have to do.
Case study on your point. I was reading about McDonald's recently. McDonald's really struggling as people have spent a lot less money eating at not just fast food like McDonald's, but eating at restaurants. Initially, inflation was tough at the grocery store and at restaurants. But lately, OG, restaurant inflation has outpaced grocery store inflation by a ton.
Yeah.
So just this big news, to your point, if you own stock in McDonald's isn't taking this just sitting down. Now they're creating they're creating new products. They're creating a new value meal. They're doing these things. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but clearly their shareholders are saying, you got to get it together. So by owning that stock, McDonald's probably will find a way through this.
Yeah. And if they don't, then you also own Burger King or you own Taco Bell or you own Chipotle or you own a diverse grouping of those things. Culver's. Is Culver's public? I don't know.
No, but you should own it anyway.
You should try to get in. And to further that analogy, Joe, all of your money isn't also in fast casual. You also have some money in industrials and some money in technology and some money in telecommunications and some money in chip manufacturing. And, because different areas of the economy experience different results at different times. whole idea of diversification is you get all of the returns of the economy all the time. It just, happens to happen in different orders. So to me, it's the most logical thing because everyone's incentives are aligned. Back to your McDonald's example, all those people that are sitting around that big boardroom and wherever their headquarters is in Illinois or someplace, they're all looking at their balance sheets. Their balance sheets have a lot of McDonald's stock, and they're like, "Oh my god, what are we doing, guys? We got to really like this means life or death to me."
Yeah.
Like I have $100 million of reasons, if you're the CEO or whatever, to get this freaking right. Like there's a strong incentive structure for that person to be right. And then it trickles down and you're a shareholder, you own 10 shares via your ETF. Guess what? You want them to be right. You want them to be going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Another great example of this is political change that happens, depending on who wins, who loses. There's different areas of the economy that feel like that's good for them or not good for them. Those industries aren't just going, well, great, this guy's president or this gal's president or whatever, so I guess we're screwed. We should shut up operations. They go, well, all right, what are we going to do? How do we deal with this? How do we still make money?
Adjust.
Yeah, they're the smartest people in the world, and if they don't have them, they hire the smartest people in the world to try to help them figure out how do we make more money. And for good or for bad, you want to be on that same side of the table.
Because I just bought my third house in Winnetka and I joined Shore Acres, and I can't default on that.
I don't know what any of those words meant, but
I'm thinking you mentioned the big wigs at McDonald's. They're in downtown Chicago. They bought a bunch of houses in Winnetka.
That was a Chicago reference right there.
Yeah.
Chicago Flex by Doug.
Shore Acres, super high end.
Feeling at home with the Chicagoans right now.
Keep up.
Yeah.
Chicagoans.
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 Chicago Orem.
JJ, thanks for the call, and we're going to send some swag your way for calling in. Thanks, man. Good to hear your voice again. stackingbenjamins.com/voicemail if you want to be like JJ and get your question answered by OG. By the way, the only thing that can really blow up that strategy, OG, is frankly you freaking out, because when you go to a equity portfolio, you will see more motion in your ocean. And so you have to keep some cash on hand.
Correct.
I don't worry about the financial markets. I just worry about people blowing up their strategy.
Motion in your ocean.
Hey, time for us to say goodbye to this podcast. Before we do that, though, we got a bunch of stuff on the back porch. We got a great note from a stacker, Doug.
Wow.
Somebody talking about you recently were talking about the Wright brothers. I believe we were celebrating their historic flight with our trivia a couple months ago. And a gentleman went to a museum that referenced another flyer who you talked about in your trivia question.
Yeah. Well, so he went to the Curtis Museum just outside of town in Hammondsport, New York. I've been there more times than I can count.
Hammondsport or that museum?
Hammondsport and the museum. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we spent, I don't know, I think his name was Robert, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if he's from there, but I spent 20 plus years on Keuka Lake. Know it like the back of my hand. And a lot of time in Hammondsport and in that museum. But I just, with all of those bona fides, with all of the credibility I just tried to establish, I got it wrong. The story I had heard, I did some research after we got that note from our stacker, and I did some research and found out that the story I had been told by some local person who was more than likely more drunk than I was incorrect.
Wait a minute. Are you saying there's a person in upstate New York who gets drunk?
Yeah. Just a little bit. There's not a lot to do up there.
There's a person in Penn Yan hanging out at Lloyd's. Is that the name of the place?
Oh, Lloyd's is not there anymore. That was my favorite bar. So good.
Fabulous.
Lloyd's Limited was fantastic.
I may have been drunk there before. Can neither confirm nor deny, but probably confirm.
You don't even know because you can't remember. But Hammondsport had some great drinking establishments as well. But anyway, I had always heard that there was a huge argument, for lack of a better term, that Curtis flew first before the Wright brothers. That was not, in fact, the case. There was a huge rift between them, and it was because, and OG is going to chomp at the bit when I start talking about this, but the Wright brothers patented their flying machine, and what they really patented was the ability to warp the wings, and that was what really made their flying machine unique. There were other fixed wing aircrafts before them. They flew like 30 feet. The Wright brothers were able to fly a little longer, because they were able to warp their wings. They had cable systems that would change the shape of the wings. And they patented that. Curtiss comes along and basically invents ailerons. Now OG's in the discussion, I can tell. And ailerons, if you're sitting on an airplane one day and you look at the trailing edge of the wings, out towards the very end of the wing, you'll see most people, laymen, call them flaps, but they're the things that move up or down towards the end of the wings. And that it was Curtiss's new invention as a way, instead of moving and shaping the entire wing, you just shape that little bit at the end, and that helps the plane turn. And Wright brothers were pissed. They're like, nope, we patented that. Huge lawsuit. And eventually they won. But that was what the argument was about. It wasn't who flew first. The Wright brothers flew in, was it 03? And Curtiss really didn't fly till probably, there's some discrepancy here, but between 06 and 08. It was about how do you shape the wings. Now, so what the deal that the Wrights family made with the Smithsonian was, say that we invented this whole thing, and we'll give you our aircraft.
There's where the rift was.
So I had part of the story right, but yeah, there was the Wright the company the Wright brothers ended up founding. They were essentially the first patent trolls. And they were out suing anybody who was trying to do anything with airplanes.
You're not painting the Wright brothers in a very positive light here.
No, they were jerks. They wanted to essentially own all of aircraft manufacturing in the United States. Anything that got produced that either looked like or had, right? That had to do with aircraft production or the like.
The fine folks at Boeing would love to sell you their shares because they're like, we're cool. You want to run this thing? We are all for $1 million lately.
Well, and by the way, OG, they also have some spare bolts. They're not sure where they came from that they can just hand to you.
Yeah, just falling out of the sky.
What, too soon?
We don't know what these go to, but they're included in the purchase.
All right, so that's my part of the back porch. I was wrong. You're correct that he did not claim to fly first. There were other issues between the groups.
Hey, if you're going to be in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Thursday before Labor Day, that is the 29th. I'll be there with my son, Nick. There's going to be a bunch of financial independence people hanging out at a place called River Siren in Stillwater near Minneapolis, stackingbenjamins.com/meetup to meet me there. If you were with me last Tuesday, it was in a movie theater called the Cinemark, where I, guys, saw this little known film that, well, let's just play a little quick trailer. Maybe you've heard of it.
Deadpool and a Wolverine. Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, potty words.
Somebody's salty.
I was ready, too. I like it when Steve's got a beat part of the trailer. How about that? That's some classic Deadpool. I saw a video online of this couple going, we went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, and we walked out within 30 minutes because it was just horrible. There was so much swearing and disparity and blood, and it was just rotten. And it always, different videos cut to another person going, Deadpool, really? Like, did you do zero research before you went to see Deadpool? This movie was, if you're not familiar with Deadpool, he swears, he looks at the camera a lot. He has jokes with the audience. He talks about how Hugh Jackman was being brought back out by Disney and now is going to have to do films until he's like 93, even though they killed him off before they figured out a way to resurrect him because he's a cash cow, that Jackman, that good looking dude. He's always cracking jokes. Movie was super funny. It has like a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes. I would disagree with that strongly. This movie, like all Marvel movies now, I got sucked back in because it was Deadpool. And I was like, Deadpool's going to be different. We're not going to have all this obnoxiousness about the different timelines. What's that called? The multiverse. We're not going to have this stuff. In fact, one of the funniest Deadpool lines in this movie was where Deadpool looks at the screen. Ryan Reynolds looks at the screen and goes, really, the multiverse? This has been fail after fail after fail, and we're gonna do it again. Like in the script, they acknowledge that everybody hates this multiverse crap.
So the plot was as bad as you just described, but was the humor as good as old Deadpool humor?
Yes.
Because when I watched the previous ones, I could care less. I couldn't tell you the plot of
No.
any of them, but the lines are like they come at you so fast.
Yes.
You can't keep up. Like, I got to remember that. I'm going to use that another time or whatever. You can't even keep up with them because there's so many.
It's at a slower rate this time, Doug, and there's big, long action scenes, and like a lot of Marvel movies lately, you just don't care. I'm watching these big, long action scenes, and I'm like, what? Who? Yeah, I fell asleep. I actually fell asleep at one point during the movie, and I got halfway through, and I turned to Cheryl and I said, I am bored out of my mind. I'm just waiting for him to say something funny again.
Old man goes to action movie, falls asleep.
Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine, not good. Instead, I saw a movie with Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum called Fly Me to the Moon. Very little rom-com movie about this woman who gets hired to publicize the fact that NASA is going to the moon. And based on some of the characters were actually real people. But the funny part of this movie is Woody Harrelson, and this is the historical fiction piece, I think. Woody Harrelson's in charge of making sure that this is seen. He's sent by the president, Nixon, to make sure that this is seen as a win by America. America needs a big win. We have to make it to the moon. And even if we don't make it to the moon, people got to think we make it to the moon. So she's in charge of creating a separate set and making a filming of the moon landing, which is what everybody talks about, right? About did they really go or did they really go? It's a fun little movie. It's a small movie. You may have never heard of it. I thought that was a solid 7. Good use of time. Skip Deadpool and Wolverine. Go see Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly me to the moon.
Fabulous. And we got that too, extra OG. No extra charge. Doug singing twice during this episode.
Amongst the stars.
I think we got to go. Doug, can you sing the credits? What should we have learned on today's episode?
Let me see what life is like on Jupiter and Mars. Hey, what should we learn today? First, take some advice from Len Penzo. Worried about inflation? Start with what inflation means to you, not with the Consumer Price Index or news reports. By tracking your expenses, you can avoid some big mistakes with your money. Second, your home? It's a great place to live, but probably not a part of your financial plan if you can avoid using it. But what's the biggest to do? Why would you change the name of the Wienermobile? I mean, like, who's Frank? Here's the rule. Never change your name when you're already famous. I mean, unless you're Prince. Thanks to Len Penzo for joining us. You'll find Len's amazing blog at the cryptically titled lenpenzo.com. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamins Show.